Hey guys, welcome back. So till now we have discussed what is an array and why do we need to learn it, what are the types of array and how is an array represented in memory. Hope all of these concepts are clear. Now in this video we'll start with the next subtopic, that is what are the common operations that we can perform on a given array. So let's get started. So there are 6 common operations that can be performed on array, that is, first we need to create an array, then we need to insert a value in that array, traversing that array, accessing any given cell number, and then we can search a given value in the array, and finally we can delete a value from an array. Now apart from these 6 common operations, there are other multiple operations as well, but we have not covered them as they are not very commonly used. In case if you are interested, please have a look at the Java documentation. Fine, so let's see the first operation of an array, that is creation of array. So creation of an array involves 3 steps, that is declare, instantiate and initialize of an array. Now what do they mean? Let's try to understand it using this diagram. Let's say this is our system RAM having multiple memory blocks. Now let's see what does the compiler do when we create a new array. So the first step is we declare a array. So once we declare an array, system never allocates any memory location for that array. All it does is it creates a reference variable. Let's say our reference variable is ARR. Now what is a reference variable? A reference variable is nothing but the name of the array. So when we declare an array, all that the system does is it creates this reference variable called array. Now the second step is instantiation of an array. Now when we instantiate an array, it's then that the compiler allocates memory location for this array. Let's say our array is of length 4. So what the system has done is it has allocated 4 cells from this RAM. Now what is the value here in these cells? In Java it will be defaulted to 0 in case if it is an integer. So all of them will be 0, 0 and 0. Now one more thing which the compiler does is it stores the address of this first cell over here in this reference variable. Let's say the address of this first cell over here is x102. So in this reference variable ARR, it stores x102. So as soon as this reference variable ARR saves this address x102, a reference gets created from ARR to the first cell of this array. Okay, so now let's see how does the array traversal works at a memory level. When we are pointing to the first cell of this array, all that we are saying is x102 plus 0. Why 0? Because every time we want to go to the next cell, we have to increment this number from 0, 1, 2 and so on. So when we want to point to this cell over here, we say x102 plus 1. Similarly, this one will say x102 plus 2 and so on for next of the cells out there. So now you understand that why is it that we always start our array numbering from 0 and never 1, because the reference variable points to the first cell of the array, so it need not increment this counter over here. It only needs to increase the counter from the second cell onwards. That's why the first cell will become the base address plus 0. Second cell becomes base address plus 1. Third cell becomes base address plus 2, and so on. Now this can be a little tough to understand, so I would highly recommend that please rewind this video and rerun it and try to understand it once again. Now let's get back to our original topic, which is creation of an array. So till now we have declared an array, instantiated an array. Now the third step is initialization of an array. What do we mean by that is, if we want to give any default value to any of the cells in this array. So right now compiler gives a default value of 0, but let's say we want to give a default value of 10 in each of this cell. So that is nothing but initialization. So after initialization, our array looks like this. So it has 10 in all of the cells. Okay, so now that we have understood how to create an array, let's see how we can do it in Java. So declaring an array is very simple. All that we have to do is we have to say the data type and this open brackets and the name of the array, which is ARR in this case. For example, we say integer brackets ARR. Now the data types can be of different nature. It can be either integer, or it can be float, or it can be double or character. It depends on our needs. Now the complete list of all the data types supported by Java can be seen from official Java's website. Now once we have declared an array, the second step was that we instantiate the array. So how do we do that? We say integer, which is nothing but data type, what is the size of the array, and new, because an array is an object in Java, so it always needs to be created using new, and we have to give a reference variables and saying that whatever array that's get created here, the first cell of this array's address gets stored in this reference variable. Now the last step was initialization of the array. So how can we initialize? We can say array 0 is 10, 120, 30 and so on. So this is nothing but making sure that the default value of all these cells are as per what we want, instead of the 0 value which the compiler gives by default. Now you might be wondering that just to create a simple array, do we need to all the time follow 3 steps, or is there any other shortcut? Of course, there is a shortcut, and the shortcut is this one. That is, we can combine all these 3 steps into one and do all this action in one shot. That is, we say integer, which is nothing but the data type, a is the reference variable or the array name, brackets to indicate that it is an array, is equal to, these are the default values out there which we want. So this way we can combine all of these 3 steps into one. Okay, so now that we have understood how to declare an array, let's see what are the time complexities involved in each of this operation. So when we declare a array, it is an order 1 of operation, and the reason is it does not depend on the size of the array, which in general we call it as n. Now when we are initializing an array, once again it is an order 1 operation, and the reason is it is just one step. It does not involve to loop for all the size of the array, which is n or 5 in this case. However, when we are initializing an array, since we have to loop through all the cells in the array, it is order n operation, because each of this step here will take order 1 time, and this total number here is n times. So n into order 1, it becomes order n time. Now if you are getting confused over here that what is order 1 and what is order n and how do we determine all these things, please stop this video and go back to algorithm runtime analysis chapter and go through it once again. Because without understanding the time complexity, reading data structures will not do any good. Because be it exams or interview room, we will always be asked what is the time complexity and how we can improve it. So it is highly recommended to go back and check algorithm runtime complexity chapter in this video classes. Fine, moving forward. So the last operation was when we can combine all these three operations into one statement. In that case, we get a complexity of order 1, and the reason is that we need not loop through all the cells in the array. So it becomes order 1. Okay, so in this video we have understood how to create an array in two different ways. So we'll stop this video here. In the next video we'll see how we can insert a value in an array and what are the time complexities involved there. Thanks for your time. See you in the next video.